is Nicholas Glover with the Tampa Bay Chamber. I want to thank and welcome the viewers tuning into our 2023 candidate interview series for the City of Tampa's City Council elections. The Chamber focuses on policy, not politics. And while we do not endorse, we do want to make sure that our members and the business community are informed on where these candidates stand on the issues most important to the business community. We're excited today to have Robin Lockett with us running for City Council District 2. Thanks for joining us, Robin.
Thank you for having me, Nick.
Absolutely. We're just under 30 days from Election Day. And now that we're in this final stretch, Robin, can you give us an update on the campaign and tell us what message you hope to deliver to voters?
Yes, everything is going great. I have been able to continue my journey with meeting people within the community and listening to what they care about, what solutions they think might work for with them, and having the ability to look at things through their lens. Nick, I decided to run because I wanted to be the change that I wanted to see. And that change is providing the community a voice and creating community engagement. I want to bring people back to politics because I'm a firm believer when we know better, we tend to do better. I think we've missed a lot of opportunities to look at things through a lens of equity. Everyone should be able to enjoy all of the great things Tampa has to offer. I'm a community organizer by trade, and it was my job rather, to listen to the community, to empower the community to fight on issues that concern them, with it all leading back to the knowledge of who they want to represent them at the end. My top priorities are affordable housing, water quality, and of course, accountability. And I am grateful to have the endorsements of the MDF, Muslims for Democracy and Fairness, and also the Progressive Democratic Caucus.
Thank you so much, Robin. Let's kick it off with the basics. What is the role of Tampa City Council as you see it, and do you see that role potentially evolving over the course of your term?
So the textbook answer is City Council's role is to create and enforce policies, right? To get potholes repaired. I think along with that is that they serve as a check and balance of the administration, like the community serves as a check and balance for City Council. There has to be a partnership among all because we work for the people. The end result is that it's all about the people, right? I feel that to be successful is in anything, it's all about relationships. When you take the time to build a relationship that creates trust. When you have trust, it forms solidarity. I see my seat as being the example of building relationships within the community.
You mentioned policy. Let's start with one of those policy priorities. Workforce housing is one of the areas that is very important to this chamber. In particular, Robin, we are focused on that missing middle, that 80 to 120% of area median income. And so the question I have for you is, what zoning or policy changes would you want to see or support to address the growing workforce needs in Tampa?
You know, with my job, that 80-20 medium is who I worked with, right? Those people that a lot of them were renters. Some had the ability to get out of renting and to purchase homes, but it's a struggle for everybody. I think, and some call it workforce housing, attainable housing, and affordable housing. I think the housing crisis will be with us for a while. This is an opportunity for us to look at things differently, to make changes to zoning policies, where you are able to add an ADU if you meet the qualifications to build for additional housing. The most expensive part of owning a home is buying the land. So how do we look at that differently, right? Do we continuously have a segment that this is the type of house to put on the land, or do we design the house to fit on the property? So we won't have all this vacant land going, around the city. I think that new policies also, because I just talked about renters, right? I think there's an opportunity also for us to look at that and maybe increase additional policies to help a person that is renting to be able to buy a home. Just be really, really creative in doing so.
Excellent. We started off by talking about the role of city council, and one of those really important roles is, of course, approving the city's budget. Some state budget economic experts anticipate potentially, Robin, a slowdown of the economy during your term. If that does happen, how should the city prioritize its spending?
Housing, housing, housing. As I previously stated, the housing crisis is the most pressing issue because if people don't have a place to live, it creates a domino effect of chaos. This affords the opportunity for the city to become creative with partnerships like the chamber, businesses, state and government, because just like there is not a one solution to resolve it, one entity can't resolve it on its own. So we have to sit to the table, have a clear understanding to handle it, right? It has to be an all hands on deck approach, full collaboration, because it's about the people.
Thank you. Let's talk about home rule. Local governments across the state have been critical of the legislature in recent years. Do you agree, Robin, that preemption has become a problem in Tallahassee? And if so, how would you work to establish a productive relationship with our legislative delegation?
Oh, so with Tallahassee, you have to bob and weave. The work that I've done for the past 2 years within the community gloomed preemption all over it, because our long-term goal was around rent stabilization. So I think that Tallahassee severely overreaches. We worked about 2 years, like I said, around rent stabilization. The long-term plan was for us to push for that, right? The short-term goals was for us to get past like small ordinances to protect tenants, tenant bill of rights, tenant advocacy office, where we had the city to put $400,000 aside in the budget for us. 60-day notice, wherein if you receive a rent increase in excess of 5%, you had to get a notice, not a 30-day notice. Hey, your rent is going up $500 and you have to pay it. But we had it extended to 60 days. Now the word in Tallahassee is that they're creating, by all the work that we've done, they're creating laws now to outright stop it, right? That's the problem. That's an overreach. So I don't agree with preemption. I think that it prevents local government from really, because it's grassroots. The government should have the pulse of the community, and they should be able to create policies accordingly. We've worked with Representative Diane Hart a lot. I've worked with Commissioner Gwen Myers, former Commissioner Kim Overman, and Mariella Smith. And also, as I stated earlier, we need to keep kids safe. I've worked with Karen Perez, even around housing, because a kid that's not safe in housing isn't safe in school, right? So we have to make them safe in where they're living also.
So let's continue to talk about solutions and economic development. The utilization of public-private partnerships continues to be an asset for local governments across the country. What opportunities for P3s do you see for the city of Tampa, Robin?
I see a great opportunity with housing and transportation. They intersect with one another. And both issues are important issues that no one entity can handle. The economy is bad for everyone. Everyone is struggling. I have seniors that can't afford the rent nor their prescriptions. They're on fixed income. Several are on insulin and can't afford it. Thanks to the Biden administration, there's a relief coming. The community needs relief in transportation. The All for Transportation bill didn't pass, and a partnership is a must. It would take the private sector, again, the chamber, and federal government to build and to get through this. And anything that we do is an opportunity. Just because it's been done a certain way 50 years ago, we have the opportunity to reset to deviate, to be creative, because that's what is needed. And where everyone works in silos, we really have an opportunity to build a united front and really make this successful for the people.
You mentioned transportation. Let's finish there. Uncertainty persists with the already collected offer transportation referendum dollars. As you are aware, Robin, the fate of those dollars now rests in the hands of the Florida legislature. Assuming that Hillsborough County is able to secure those funds this session, what are the most important transportation investments that you would want to see?
First, because it's taxpayers' money, right? It's our money. I think there should be a real conversation with the community to find out what they want to see done with the money. Having that conversation would provide us with a gauge of what's important to the community. There would be a need to have it very transparent and with clear next steps outlined, because we talked about trust earlier. I can say I believe that bus rapid transport is right. That would come from me. And the community may feel differently. But I do tend to think if you can't resolve the entire transportation system at one time, you have to do it bite by bite, right? One bite at a time, as they say. Everyone wants to be able to at least get to work on time. If you have the bus rapid transport where it's accessible to all communities and not one community having to travel to get to it, I think that would be a great start to build from. And remember, I briefly spoke about kids and safety. I think sidewalks in the community is very important also.
Robin, we've touched on some very important policy positions, but before we wrap up today, is there a priority of yours that we did not get a chance to discuss or something you'd like to circle back to re-emphasize?
I think accountability is very important. How are we providing the check and balances and being consistent with it? How is the community providing check and balances with council? And how is the council providing check and balances with the community? Because you can't, there can't be a one-sided relationship, right? Those never work. You can't date yourself. Those never work, right? Or per se. Once we really get community involvement and engagement to really understand what the pulse of the community wants and needs, I think that will drive us in a better direction. You'll have less separation because it's coming from the community, all right? So my job as a city council person is to really, as I said before, bring people back to politics, provide an open door policy, and to really understand the pulse of the community, not to be the voice of the community, because I want the community to be that involved that they're able to speak for themselves and make it very clear what they want.
Speaking of voices, Robin, where can voters go to learn more about your campaign or the positions and the issues most important to them?
My website is voterobinlockett.com, and that's vote, VOTEROBINLOCKETT.com. My Facebook page is Robin Lockett for City Council District 2.
Robin Lockett running for City Council District 2. On behalf of our members, our board of directors, we want to thank you for joining us today and for your willingness to serve in an elected office. That concludes our interview today.
Thank you very much for having me.